Hi folks, this is Pastor Corey. Just want to give you some updates and announcements. As the weather gets colder and cold and flu season are upon us, this is inevitably going to complicate matters for us even further as we continue to navigate decisions personally and corporately about how to gather and engage with life during this COVID-19 pandemic. Uh, while you're making your own personal decisions about where to go, how to engage with others, with work and family life and school and other things, and your level of engagement with church and faith activities, we want you to be informed about the criteria and guiding principles that we're using for our decisions, for our own worship gatherings and other activities here at the church. So our regathering committee that we have formed to make these kind of decisions, we track regularly the Elkhart County data. You go to coronavirus.in for Indiana.gov with a link here, and you can see some of this data yourself as well. We look to that regularly to examine trends in three different areas. We look for positive cases, we look for the positivity rate, and for hospitalizations for those things. So positive cases, they reflect how many current positive cases there are known in the county. That metric can be influenced, simply by whether there's an increasing amount of tests or not. So the next metric is helpful in evaluating that as well. The positivity rate, that indicates the percentage of those tests that actually come back with a positive test result. So a higher positivity rate indicates growing community spread, and vice versa. If there's a lower positivity rate, it means that even though more people are getting tested, there's fewer of those coming back positive. And then the last metric that's really helpful there is the hospitalization data, and that reflects how many patients are hospitalized due to COVID. And that indicates for us how difficult it might be for others who get sick to receive the help they need when they're sick for things, and to receive care. So all three of those things are really important to us as we figure out as a community how to provide resources for people to get spiritual care, spiritual formation, to worship together in community in a way that's safe, and that we can be compassionate to others and create an environment that won't make things worse for you in the long run. We want to draw you closer to God and closer to a fully flourishing and healthy and vibrant life with Him. And so we just try to make wise decisions based on that. As a rule, our committee looks for like a 2-week downward trend in these metrics as a green light for us to know that we can, maybe meet more freely, to open up and do some more regular things that we used to do as a church. We've looked for those things as numbers went down in past months to say, okay, now we can start gathering together, we can do this thing, we can have Sunday schools try to start up again. Conversely, a 2-week upward trend in these areas serves as a guide for us to increase precautionary measures. So the degree to which the data trends upward or downward, it also kind of influences our level of caution in increasing or relaxing those precautionary measures. So those are the things that we kind of look for as we make our decisions. Now, you may be aware, my wife and I actually got sick a few weeks back, and we did test positive for coronavirus, and it was not as intense of a case as some people have had, and we were thankful for that, but it also wasn't an asymptomatic case, and it wasn't fun either. And so we are better, though. We're thankful for that. We're thankful for the ways that other people cared for us, and I just want to share, this is something that we all want to be careful about, because while there's general patterns we can see of some people who are at higher risk and others who are not, this does deserve caution, because we can never know for sure who's going to have a difficult case and who's not. And so we want to be compassionate in the way that we care for others. Now, as I have recovered and able to come back into things, we have had virtual services the last few weeks, but as our regathering committee has reflected on things and looked at the data, we've seen that the trend has continued to increase over all three of those metrics in our county. And so we have, we'll put some numbers here on the screen. The week of October 4th through the 10th, we saw 524 cases total during that week. The percentage of the positivity rate on the 10th was 7.4. Hospitalizations, there was 133 COVID patients during that time. The next week, the 11th through the 17th, 706 cases, positivity rate of 10.4, 176 hospitalizations. October 18th through the 24th, there was 878 cases during that week. On the 24th, the positivity rate was 11.1, and during that same day, there were 202 people. So you can see those things are increasing over a 2-week period of time. And so given that data, our current situation is that we are going to continue to suspend our in-person worship gatherings and encourage congregants to worship virtually during that time. We also have mailed guides that we send out to people, and we hope that you will engage in one of those ways. And I want to comment a little further on that in a few moments. But I also want to answer a question for us, because some of you might be thinking, again? All of this is just like it was in April, and we have to go through all of this stuff again. This is going to be difficult. When are we going to be able to return to gathering in person, especially as Christmas is around the corner? I'll tell you, we're going to continue to track the data on this. We'll be looking out for recommendations from our county health officials. We do trust those people who have been put into the places they are for their qualifications, and we want to honor the decisions that they make, and say that as long as it's not preventing us from living out our faith and from proclaiming the witness of Christ, as long as it's guiding us in compassion, that we want to respect the guidelines that they're giving. And so we will continue to track that data, and we have said, we'll be able to return to in-person gatherings when we can observe a downward trend over at least 2 weeks. And depending on the degree of that downward trend, our gathered worship may look a little different. It might include some additional precautions, or maybe not. There might be less singing, maybe a briefer service, those kind of things. We'll have to see and make those decisions as we go. Isn't that a very 2020 thing to say? We'll have to see, right? But those are some things you can expect. And in the meantime, myself and the rest of our leadership, we do want to be available to help you in whatever way possible. And if you're watching this and you're saying, hey, yeah, but I have a family member or friend who I know doesn't do online stuff, and this not meeting has been really, really difficult for them relationally, for them spiritually, emotionally, we want to do whatever we can to find ways to resource people. So, to that end, I also want to share in this update some ideas and some things that we want to encourage you to do to help take care of folks and to take care of yourself. Suspending our normal in-person gatherings does not necessarily mean that you're resigned to isolation. Many of you may be technology savvy and are able to do things like our online gatherings, Zoom meetings, ways that you can still connect with others and to participate in comments and do those kinds of things that can be really helpful. But some folks are kind of technology averse, but they might be comfortable meeting with others who are maybe able to work through that technology stuff and in a more limited gathering sort of sense. So we want to encourage you to find ways to get together. You can seek out ways to connect with others for worship and community during this time. There's 3 things that at least that you could do. The first thing, which we've been encouraging folks to do, is this: make some phone calls. At a bare minimum, we recommend that you reach out to others to check in, to pray over the phone, have a short conversation. That can go a long way in helping to encourage one another and to build community with people. In some cases, for myself, I know I've had deeper conversations over the phone with people than I ever even did in person. We never had the opportunity in a worship gathering to really get in depth in conversation with each other, but we had some really phenomenal conversations over the phone. So if you know people who you've been disconnected with and you're worried about them, let's give them a phone call. Reach out to them. If you're someone who yourself has been kind of disconnected, make the first move and call someone else. And reach out to your friends, your family members, or even those people who are kind of on the fringe of your social circle. Let's take care of one another. Number 2, you can do activities together. One of the hallmarks, especially around our holiday season that's coming up, is that we have memory-making activities. There's things that we do that are traditions that help us bond with one another, and they're kind of staples of our life together. They're going to be challenged and different this year, but you can still do things like going on walks with each other. Maybe go pick some pumpkins together, or you can go get a Christmas tree together, or do all sorts of activities that you can do outdoors to enjoy God's creation, to commune with Him, but also to have a safe distance one another outdoors, that you can have community with other people. Do some activities together. And the third idea is to gather in small groups. One of the things that is said is that if you're in a larger group close together, it's harder to manage things like the spread and to know, track what danger or risk there might be there. But in smaller groups, especially with people that you know, with some agreed upon things that you all think these are common sense precautions we can take, that it's less of a risk. So we'd encourage you, gather together with other individuals, with other families, taking whatever precautions you all agree, feel like make sense, to have some time of worship and community and fellowship and prayer and encouragement together. We have resources you can use, both online and like I said, in our print materials, that you can lead a small group together. Maybe a time of worship, maybe a time of prayer. You can also maybe just do it the old-fashioned way and just gather around some scripture and be led by the Holy Spirit. Whatever you feel like is the best way to do this. The important thing is that you gather with other believers, that you connect with other believers in whatever way you can to share your faith together. Our faith is not a solo venture. It's not a solo journey. There's important parts about it that we do in solitude, that are important to be just between us and God. But we were made to be with other people. And the difficulties that this year has brought doesn't mean that it's impossible for us to still engage with other people in community. Let's do whatever we can to do that. And in whatever way that we can help you all in terms of leadership at our church, reach out to us so that we can help you. All right, well, that's all I have to say for you guys for our announcement. We hope that you will join us for virtual church this upcoming Sunday at 10 a.m. You can engage in the comments with us, and that way we have some exciting stuff prepared for us as we gather virtually in that way. And I hope to see you in person sooner rather than later. But yeah, thanks. Love you guys. Miss you all. God bless.